Good afternoon, participants of our webinar. We are ready to start. First of all, I would like to check whether you hear me well. Please write me in the comments if you hear me. Okay, let's start. On our webinar, we are going to make a review of Sage 50 Middle East Edition. First of all, I would like to say a few words about our company. We are a global IT company that provides business automation and management solutions, as well as full range of IT-related services. More than 5,000 professionals, 80 offices around the world, and more than 20 years in business automation. And we are also a certified Sage partner. So let's move on. During our webinar, we are going to demonstrate the general functions and useful reports in Sage 50 Middle East. We also talk about VAT functionality, and you will be able to ask your questions at the end of our webinar. So I would like to notice the main differences of Sage 50 Middle East edition from other editions. So actually Sage 50 Middle East is a mini ERP system. It has multi-currency, multi-warehouse, and post-dated check queue tracking. We can also provide some add-ons for this edition, such as job costing, fixed assets, bill of materials, serial number tracking. So now I'm going to give a word to our senior consultant, to our Sage senior consultant, Artyom, and he's going to take you through general functions and useful reports. Artyom, please.
Thank you, Katerina. Hello, everyone. So let me share my screen. Okay, let's start. Today I'm gonna show you Sage ME, Sage 50 ME. I'm gonna show you all main functions and reports and so on. And I'd like to start from the interface. So as you can see, Sage 50 Middle East has many functions. And if you have a look at the left panel, you can see a list of all modules which Sage 50 ME provides. Also, we can add some additional modules. For example, if you are going to use job costing or something else, which Sage 50 ME doesn't have out of the box, so we can consider it and add to this functionality. So about the interface, we have several ways how we can use all functions. First, you can find all reports, documents, and transactions on the left panel. So if we open one of the modules, for example, General Ledger, you can see some parts. It's called maintenance, transactions, inquiries, and reports. So each module has similar structure. From part of maintenance, you can find all your master data. You can find, you can set up the module. You can change some setting during your work. And second part is transactions. So in the transaction parts, obviously you will create transaction during your work. And also there is a very powerful function in the system. It's called inquiries. So with help of this module, these functions, you can fast get information from the system for example, particular item or customer or supplier, and so on. So this is the inquiries. Next part is the reports. When you use when you open reports in each module, you can find many different reports related to this module. Of course, we can customize it if you need for some specific requirements. And so about the interface also, you can navigate your functions not through only the left one, not only through the system tree. You can find, for example, if you want to see all reports, you can go to the main menu and click reports and find the module which you need and see all reports which you can generate. If you want to all transactions, you can open transaction menu and so on. So also when you click, for example, on the general ledger module, on the desktop, you will see all information related to this module. So let's continue, and I'm gonna start with the general ledger module as it most of important module for accounting. And in general ledger module, we have, if we are talking about master data, we have accounts, of course, and also we have two additional dimensions for your accounting. These are branches and departments. So you can design your chart of accounts and divide it into different branches or departments, and later you can analyze it in your reports. For example, if you want to analyze profitability of your branches or departments. So if you go to transactions module of general ledger, you can see two basic functions which you can use in your transaction. These are cash book batches and journal batches. And I'd like to say a few words about batches in the system. So batches are as a templates which you which you can create in advance in your system, and then you can use it when you need. So, for example, if we open journal batches in general ledger transactions, you can create new batch. You can set up this batch. You can specify, for example, accounts for this particular batch, and then you can just use it for your daily transaction or for your monthly transaction and so on. So also you will use batches not only in general ledger module. You will use batches also in accounts receivable module, in accounts payable module, and inventory module, and so on. So if you have a look at cash book batches, so generally this type of batches has transactions about your payments, about payments from your customers, about some different payments to banks, to some additional expenses, or so on. So if you want to create some transaction which has to go directly to general ledger, you can use cash book batches and journal batches in general ledger. So if you want to use your customers and suppliers and then analyze your balance with your customers and suppliers, so of course you will use batches in accounts receivable and accounts payable module, because this allows you to specify particular customer or supplier in your transactions. So next part of each module is a report. And if we are talking about general ledger, we can use here trial balance report, for example. So also very common report is balance sheet. And next one is income statement. So, and last one in this module is what I wanted to show you is a cash book report, which allows you to analyze all transactions related to your bank account or petty cash account, and you can see all your payments and payments from customers and to suppliers and so on. So this is the structure of each module. So we have maintenance, transactions, and reports. And also I want to show you the inquiries module. If we go to this module, you can select one of your accounts. For example, it will be sales, and click view, and you will see all detailed transactions for this account. And if we go to account receivable module in the same part in inquiries and open transaction inquiries, you can select a customer. And once you click view, you will see all transactions related to this customer. So it's very convenient when you want to see when you want to get information about a particular customer faster, and you want to see what's going on with this customer, which transaction you did, and also you can open each transaction and see information detailed, more detail with ledger accounts and with a reference date, credit and debit side. So this was what about inquiries. So next module which I'm going to show you is inventory module. So, and I want to start from the list of inventory items. So generally, when you open a list of all your master data, or for example, when you use some documents in the system, you can personalize this window for you. For example, if I want to see some additional information in this grid, I can add one more column. I can just click customize grid columns, and I can add any additional information related to items. And also I can remove some columns from this grid if I don't need to see it. So let's open some items in this list. So, and I will show you how we can set up each item. So we have some functions for each item. For example, if you want to use serial number in the system, you can turn on this function, and when you purchase this item, you can create some your own serial numbers, or you can, if you receive the serial numbers from your suppliers, you can just type it in the system, and then you can analyze in your reports where is this item with particular serial number, and you can select it in your invoices, in your customer orders, and so on. Also, we can select the function commissionable item. Also, if you're going to use different units of measure for an item, you can also turn on this function. So also, if you use a different description, you can specify up to 3 description for each item. And when you create your customer order or invoice, you can select which description you can see in documents and in your print forms. So this is items. in inventory module. So let's move on to warehouses. The system allows you to use many warehouses, and you can transfer your goods from one warehouse to another, and you can set up access rights for users to use only particular warehouse, for example, only for invoices or for sales invoices and for purchase invoices. And if you open one of this warehouse, you can see different types of warehouses. So it means if you, for example, if you have if you transfer your items from one warehouse to another, and usually it takes long time, 2 to 5 days, and you can send your item from one warehouse and send it to transit warehouse. And when you receive these items in 5 days, you can receive them to your second warehouse. It allows you to keep track your items during the moving between your warehouses. So if we go to transactions of inventory items, also we can see journal batches. We can see warehouse transfers. So I can show you how you can transfer your items. For example, if I select one item and I have to also select from which warehouse to which warehouse I am transferring my items, and type number of items. So it's available only 2, and that's it. And just post this batch. So also in the inventory module, we have credit note, we have goods received voucher, we have invoices and returns to suppliers, and all standard type of transactions which you will use. So of course you can, if you are not going to use items, you can just create services in your inventory module and sell only services. Also, how you can use use services in the system is just create transaction in accounts receivable and accounts payable module. So if you open reports in item module, in inventory module, so very useful will be listing of items, which shows you all your items on each warehouse with a unit cost and quantity on hand. So if you want to see how many items you have and what is the cost of these items, you can use this report. Next one is movement of your items. So it allows you to see all transactions, quantity in and quantity out, and the balance for each item. Also, you can see reference and type of transaction, and name of item, and yes, and that's it. So it allows you to analyze all movements of your items. So next report is sales analysis. So with help of this report, you can analyze profitability of each item, divide it into customers if you need it. As you can see here, we have quantity, amount, cost, profit and profitability, and yes, and percent. So next useful report in the inventory module is serial number listing. So if you use serial numbers, you can see in this report where your item with particular serial number in your stock or in a client. So you can see which client has now this serial number, and if in future a customer come to you and ask about warranty, you can check. You can compare a serial number in your system and what your customer brought you. So it was a inventory module. Also a couple words about inquiries in inventory module. So if you go to transaction history, you can select any item and select period, and you will see all transactions related to this item. So it might be very useful. So next module which I want to show you is accounts receivable module. This module has all master data and transactions related to your customers. And if you open part maintenance in accounts receivable, we can find here customers, we can find groups, aging periods. So you can use groups if you want to divide your customers into different groups depending on, for example, different accounts which you want to see in your general ledger, or if you want to analyze in reports your customers by different groups. So let's open a list of customers. You can find here your customers, and each customer has many settings. You can specify aging period for each customer. You can specify credit limit, of course, group of customer. Also, as you know, VAT is coming, and we can specify tax number, registration, tax type by default. For example, for customers, it will be output tax. Also, we can use multi-currency in the system, and for each customer you can specify foreign currency. I will show you in there one of customer who already has this function. So and the transaction which with this customer will be in USD, for example. Of course, you will see all transaction in basic currency, for example, EAD, but also you can analyze balance with this customer in foreign currency. So customer groups, if we open some of groups, you can see many settings, and one of them is account for receivable control. So you can analyze your balance with your customers by groups in your chart of account. And a few words about sales representatives. So we have a function to specify target for your sales representative and commission depending on this target. There are two types depending on based on turnover and the profit. And once you set it up and did some transaction where you specify this sales representative, you can open a report in accounts receivable module. It's called rep commissions. So you will see amount of sales and you will see commission based off sales for each sales representative. So accounts receivable module also has many different reports, and I will show you some of them. And first is age analysis. So it allows you to see balance with your customers in different aging periods. So you can create your own agent periods and select in the customer screen. So next report is post date checks. So the system allows you to create a PDC and to see in reports how many PDC in pending you have right now, and also what you can use is sales analysis, which allows you to analyze your sales by your customers. So you will see amount, cost, profit, and profitability. And now I want to show you transactions which you can use in accounts receivable. If you open transactions in accounts receivable, you can see accounts receivable batch. So the name is the same like in general ledger, but the difference is this batch contains information about customers. So if you're if you're creating new batch, you can specify your customer. You can specify transaction code. About it, I will tell you later. And type some reference, debit amount, and also and debit amount. So, and then you can just post it and information will go to general ledger depending on this transaction code. So I will show you what is this. So basically transaction codes, this is a master data and you can find it in each module in general ledger and accounts receivable, payable, and inventory module. So this catalog allows you to create predefined type of transaction in the system, and once you create it, you can use in your documents. For example, if you open invoice, transaction code invoice, you will see a debit ledger account and credit ledger account for this type of transaction. So, and the person who works with the accounts receivable module doesn't have to memorize which accounts he has to use in this document, because this information already in the system, and he need just select transaction code depending on type of transaction which he's creating. So it is a batching account receivable module. The same you can find in accounts payable module. When you create new one, you can you have to select a supplier, transaction code, and also very important, you can specify tax type. So for accounts payable module, it will be input tax. So, and once you selected it, you'll see tax amount and total amount, and this information will go to general ledger. And later you can analyze your input tax and output tax in reports. So it was accounts payable and accounts receivable module. So also what you can find in this module is inquiries, transaction inquiries. So you can select some of the customer and see all details about this customer. So let's go to the next module. It will be orders. So it's very useful module if you usually use customer orders and purchase orders in your transactions. And if we open transactions part and go to order entry, you can find purchase order and sales order. So also, for example, let's start from purchase order. When you create a new purchase order, so you will see some basic information which you can fill in this new document as a supplier, this date, and maybe some number of documents. And also you have to select an item which you are going to buy. Select a warehouse. And quantity. And once you filled the document, yes, also you have to select input tax. It depends on your depends on suppliers and items. Input tax type will come automatically to the document. So, for example, for your customer, you will use output tax by default. For your suppliers, you will use input tax. So, and once you finish your purchase order, you can click process invoice, or if you just receive your items without invoice, you can click receive stock, and later you will come back to this document later and create invoice. And now I'm going to process invoice at the same time. And system asking me about the printing of this document. So I will print one of them. This is a goods received voucher. You will see all information about item, price, tax amount, and total amount. And if we are printing invoice, you can see some information for invoice. So once you generate this print form, you can print it or you can save it in PDF format or any many other formats. Okay, I posted this invoice, and information came to General Ledger. So same order we can use for selling. For example, we are going to sell something and we are going to use sales order. We can create the sales order, select a customer, select an item, and when you select an item, you can see how many items you have for each warehouse. So it allows you to select warehouse, and later, for example, you will move these items from one warehouse to another if you don't have. So 5 items, for example, I confirmed it will be output tax. And in this case, I have 3 functions. I can place order, I can create a quote, and I can process this order. So when I click process, system ask me about printing customer order, sales order. I will print it and I can see, yes, first of all, it's a pick and slip. Then this is a delivery note. I will see all information about the items, amounts, and tags. And the next one is the sales order. So I can print all documents at the same time. So which reports you can use in your order entry module are, for example, overdue sales orders. If you want to see your overdue sales orders, you can generate this report, and you can see details about name of customer, items which he ordered, and quantity and price. So it was the main functions of Sage 50 Middle East. Also, the system has many additional modules, for example, job costing and bill of materials. Bill of materials is like simple manufacturing. Also, you can use fixed assets module. And I want to show you also Sage Intelligent Reporting. It allows you to design your own reports and generate it in Excel. For demonstration, I will show you some dashboard which designed based on this Excel view. So let's start this report. Yes, we have to wait, I think, 10 seconds. So once Sage finished generating this report, you can open Excel and see dashboard with some important information for you or other people. You can generate it and send by email or print it. Yes, and I want to show you a report in tax module. So if you are go to tax module, you can find here many tax types which already predefined in the system. Also, you can create your own tax types and with different tax rates. And when you created transaction in the system, you can analyze it in reports. I will show you one report. This report showing you input and output tax and total amount based on these transactions. So this what I wanted to show you during this webinar, and I'd like to pass the word to my colleague Katerina. She has important information for you. So thank you very much.
Artyom, thank you for your insight for Sage 15 Middle East Edition. And I'd like to tell you about our recommended paid services. So since we are Sage partner and system integrator, we would also provide the whole range of services We do recommend you to use our support services to implement Sage software. So these services are installation, setup and configuration, data migration, training, go live, hand-holding, and customer support. If you're interested in some of these services, please get in touch with us. And now I think we are going to finish. And if you have any questions to Artyom, you could answer them right now. Just type them. Any questions? I can't see any questions, but if you're interested in Sage 50 Middle East Edition, so please, you can contact your personal sales manager, Hakim Kuvatov. Here is his contacts, his mobile phone and his email. He's able to answer all your questions in individual basis. And also, if you have some questions to Artyom, you can ask them through Hakim. Thank you for being with us on this webinar, and see you next time.